So while we're waiting for others to get on, I want you guys to be thinking about, I want anyone that had a win this week to share it, because I want to encourage each other. And I want you to be thinking about something that you're struggling with.
Did you want the win or the struggle first?
Tell us your win, because we know you had a big one.
I've been looking for a buyer since February, and we had an offer accepted on Saturday.
That is exciting. February.
And we'll be, escrow opens today. The listing agent is also in the KWCC office. So we just waited till today to open escrow.
Very good. Who's the list agent?
Jordan Jackson.
Okay, very nice. So what does this tell everybody? There's a lesson to be learned here, a very valuable lesson. February started looking, and it's November. So basically 10 months. What lesson can we learn from this?
Patience is a virtue.
That's a big one. And I know we all want it now, right? It's so natural. We want it now. And particularly in the market we're in, it's going to take time for a lot of people. So what else does this teach us?
Not to stop the follow-up, to stay connected to our leads.
Bingo. You guys got it in that order, right? Be patient. Don't give up. And then also don't stop filling that pipeline, because when we stop filling the pipeline, that's where when something takes months to happen, it gets frustrating, or more frustrating than it needs to, right? That's a big win. I love that. Okay, who else has a win that they want to share?
So for me, it's not actually yet a win, but I think it segues nicely. I was in contact with these buyers for since April, and I thought they ghosted me forever, or like they found another agent to buy a house. They sent me a text yesterday, super long text, being like, this is what we've been up to. We traveled to Italy and Europe, and we had a fantastic time. And now we might come back to slow in January, and I'm like, whoa. I thought you didn't like me or something. And it's funny because they specifically said, we're not ghosting you. We've just been busy. And I'm like, okay, so you were ghosting me, but thank you.
Well, actually not necessarily ghosting, right? Not in the true sense of the word. And
well, they didn't reply to a lot of texts that I sent. So, yeah, a little bit.
and really, the longer you're in this business, the more you'll see that happens. And I'm glad you shared that, Julia, because that goes right along with what we were talking about with Emily's win of it taking 10 months, right? And I'm looking at faces on this call that I know have had this also happen to them. I've had it happen. When I used to do open houses regularly, I had people that it took 9 months, a year to buy a house. And I'd have like 3 back and forth interactions with them. I'm thinking of one in particular, and they still refer me people to this day. And this was 5-6 years ago. It took 9 months. There were probably 3 total back and forth interactions where they actually responded to my automatic things that were being sent. Excuse me. But because those automatic things were being sent, once in a while I'd get an update. And then one day out of the blue, I got the email that said, Jodi, we got the golden ticket. We want to come up this weekend and look at houses. So I love that you guys shared this today, because it's so easy to get bogged down in the disappointment of how long some things can take, instead of thinking about the positive traction that you're making, right, with other things, and how in time, all those little seeds that you're planting will happen. Think about that. Think about if you were to start a garden and you started from a seed, Do you get whatever it is that you planted? Let's just say zucchini. Everybody seems to plant zucchini, right? If you put a zucchini seed in the ground, do you get zucchini that day or the next day? No, it takes a long time. And what else does it take?
Water, patience.
Yeah. Nurture, water, bug killing stuff, whatever the case may be, right? We've got to take care of things. Same thing with our clients, guys. Think of your SOI like a garden. You got to drip on them constantly. And just because something doesn't happen today doesn't mean it won't happen. Remember, do you guys realize how long you have to do your 36 plus touch program before you truly start to see big results from it? It's a full year, guys.
Okay.
It's a full year. Now, does that mean you won't have results along the way? Of course not. You'll absolutely have some results along the way. But you have to have an entire year of consistency, right? That doesn't mean doing something for a couple of months and then giving up and, man, you know, nobody's in my SOI. I've called them all this quarter. I've called every one of them, and not one of them needs to buy or sell a house. And not one of them gave me a referral. You know what? I'm going to try something else. And then forget about the SOI. And 6 months later, you've tried 3 other things that didn't work. And you know why? Because every one of those things you did just long enough to do what?
Give up.
Waste your time.
Waste your time. You've done it just long enough to waste your time. Time is valuable, guys. You can get more money. You can't get more time. When it's gone forever. So instead of spending the year saying how much something doesn't work that, excuse me, that has been absolutely proven for decades to work, spend your time watering your real estate garden, your SOI. And a year from now, you'll thank me. Now, those of you that have stopped for long periods of time and went on to other things, and then, oh, okay, yeah, we had this big talk about SOI. I'm going to work on it again. Again, just long enough to waste your time before you get discouraged and move on to something else that doesn't work. Right? What does Gary Keller say? I'm going to read you guys something. I was doing one of the Ignite videos recently, and it directed me to page 52. So when you do Ignite, you'll get to hear me read this again in the video, but that's okay because it'll resonate yet again. Okay. I'm going to read you this paragraph right here. It's on page 52 of the Shift book. And this is Gary Keller's thoughts back in the day. Okay. From a distance, I thought lead generation was really difficult, but after I diligently applied myself to it for a reasonable length of time, I came to see that it was actually quite easy and could even be fun. I was confusing effort with enjoyment. I also thought I was going to be too busy and wouldn't have time to lead generate. However, as I focused on doing it every day, I discovered it wasn't an issue of having time, but an issue of making time and then protecting it. As I learned to manage my time better, I discovered I had all the time I needed. Then intimidation set in. I believed I couldn't lead generate because I didn't know what to do or say and was afraid of making mistakes. However, as I consistently got after it, I found that lead generation is nothing more than a set of tasks and skills that are well documented. I caught on that with practice and homework, these actions are easily understood and learned. I saw that on top of being a transaction, knowledge, and service business, our industry is a script or conversation and dialogue skill-based business. I had to commit to getting onto the path of mastering these. I discovered that time on the task over time was the simple secret that helped me become very good. Let's unpack that. What do you guys take away from that?
For me, it was when he said protecting the time. I think that that was powerful. I can time block and I'm good at that, but I can also let distractions in, phone calls in, and not really have the discipline to prioritize. So protecting it was a powerful word.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that, Amor. I see Rick made the same comment in the chat. It's funny because we talked about in the orientation, we talked about different one-on-ones. How I always say one of the things we talk about so often is time blocking. And in the beginning, when you hear that, you think, well, come on, Jodi, that's so easy. Who can't do that? It's not that we can't do it. It's that we don't stick to it. Right. So what else did you take away from that? Adina?
No, I just want to share my struggle. I mean, I don't want to share exactly what it is, but it's personal. So for me, the struggle is like to be focusing on real estate when I have personal things going on. So I don't know if anybody can give me any.
Okay. So let's get to that in a few, Julia.
Oh, I was just kind of going along to what Adina is saying. For me is similar, where I relate this to kind of going to the gym, where, you know, it's that time blocking and then also prioritizing and sticking to it. And for me, I realized it's an issue of like all the things I want to do. And then the fact that I have to do certain things because there's deadline posed by other people. And so I get those done. But then because real estate is so self-driven, it's really hard to stick to that because there's no like outside, unless you're maybe a part of a team or stuff like that. But there's like no outside source to be like, well, this is due this day, you know? And so like also along those lines, like building that habit and then having it just kind of automated where you know that every Monday you're going to do this, every Tuesday you're going to do that. And it's like, I haven't gotten there yet. So it's really, really hard right now.
No, I mean, just to add that, like, I am feeling like I'm putting like a face, like I'm like putting an act up because I'm trying to hold it together and I'm trying to be positive and, you know, do the open houses and everything. But yeah.
So I know that, and thank you for being vulnerable, Adina, and even saying that you have something personal that's going on and you don't need to share what that is. And know that sometimes we can all sympathize when all of us from time to time have struggles that we have to deal with. And so take what I'm going to say with the intention that it's meant. Okay. This is meant as positive, not as negative. If we had another job that was a W-2'd 9 to 5 or whatever time, clock in and clock out job, when we have struggles come up, when we have days that we're just not feeling it, we still have to go to work. And we still somehow manage to go to work, right? And we put on our game face and we do our job. And sometimes we do that better than other times, right? And sometimes we have a rough time. This is no different. And so look within yourself. Now, Adina, I'm going to speak specific to this for a second. Look within yourself, and I'm not a therapist, okay? We're not going there in these types of things, but maybe there's some outside help that you can get. We don't need to know what your struggle is, but we do care, right? And so we want to help keep you on track. Maybe you need to take a break to take care of yourself, and maybe diving deeper in will help you take care of yourself because it will help keep your mind off of whatever it is that you're going through, because you'll be helping others with things. And so not solely focused on the negativity that's going on right now for you. I know for me, that's helpful. Sometimes when I focus on others and help others, it makes things in my life that might not be as rosy as we'd like them to be, not seem as bad. That's not minimizing, okay? That's not to minimize. And Julia, to your point, you know, I love the honesty that you say with that, because I think everyone on here can identify with what you've said. You're not there yet. And you mentioned with real estate, if I heard you correctly, you don't really have, excuse me, someone or something or a deadline holding you accountable. I would challenge that though, unless you or anyone on here has another job or another income source that pays all the bills, so you really don't need to do this, you just want to do this, you do have a deadline holding you accountable, because everybody has a mortgage to pay or rent to pay or food to buy or utilities to pay or clothes to buy, whatever it is. Those things, whether you have a date deadline for something or not, there's date deadlines, right? Either the job you are in, you want out of, or the savings account you're falling back on is going to run out. You do have a deadline holding you accountable. And so I would challenge anyone thinking that just because you don't have a person saying this needs to be done by this day, and if you want that person, talk to your coaches, and trust me, we can be that person. And I'm sure there's a couple people on here that can attest to that. Rick's thumbs up, head raised from Rick. Lori can attest to that, I'm sure. So if you need that, we can be that for you. You just need to give us permission to be that for you. And I'm speaking to everybody, not just Julia, when I say that. And that's part of the benefit of coaching, right? Is accountability. Because most of us know what to do by now, but we need to be held accountable to do it. Julia?
Yeah, so about that, how do we go about that? Like my coach is Brittany. Do I just talk to her and do I tell her like what I want to do, or do we come up together? Like, how does that work?
It's your business, it's your goals. You come up with what you need to do. A coaching conversation with her in your one-on-one will help you discover what that is, okay? And put some consequences to it. Who here has coached with me and had to do consequences because they didn't do what they committed to do? Lori's shaking her head. Rick's raising his hand. So you can choose to have consequences added, and this is for anybody, to what you commit to. Those consequences can be anything, and they should be something that you're going to feel, something that should hurt you somehow, not in a bad way, not physical pain, right? But it should hurt a little bit. It should make you want to do what you said you're going to do because you don't want that consequence. I've had agents choose consequences anywhere from they can't have their energy drinks that week because they're so addicted to those stupid things, or they have to do a certain amount of exercise that they wouldn't do, or they agree to write a check to maybe a charity they wouldn't support, any number of things. I've had people want to lead generate and want to talk to X number of people. And so you can write a check to your coach. Now, here's the way that works. If anybody chooses to do this, let's say, for example, you want to talk to, not call, but talk to 50 people in a week. Okay. Venmo your coach $100, $500, whatever's going to hurt the most. Okay. And then for every person you talk to, if it's $100, you get $2 back. So you have the potential to it not cost you anything at all. And if you don't make all the contacts, whatever you don't earn back will go to a charity of your choice. Trust me, coaches will not make a dime. That's not the point of that. The point is to help you guys be accountable. Now, there's no right or wrong in what you do. There's lots of other things agents have come up with that I have seen them make as consequences. Lori, what are some of the things that you remember seeing some of the agents make as their consequences?
That's what I was trying to remember. I know we gave up like certain foods or gave up like soda or coffee as relatively simple consequences. I was trying to remember what some of the more difficult ones were, and my mind's blank.
But that's something that if you really want to take accountability to the next level, have a conversation with the coach, put a consequence to it, and get busy. And plus, if you do something like the last thing I mentioned, then you're actually getting paid to work. You're just paying yourself back.
Jodi, if you're, let's say you're Democrat, your consequence could be that whatever's left over goes to the Republican Party, so that you are, if you don't do what you commit to doing, you are supporting an organization that you absolutely do not want to support. That would be painful.
I've heard other coaches, I've heard MAPS coaches talk about having people do that. When you get up into high dollars and when you're making good money, I've had people have heard of people having to write $1,000 checks to things they would never support. Now, that's up to a person's individual. I don't know if my moral compass could do that for certain things. If it was something that wasn't against my moral compass, I could do it just because I didn't, wouldn't normally support it. But I've absolutely heard of that happening. I've heard of a lot of things. Basically, the bottom line is it's up to you. And you don't have to do that. But how accountable do you want to be held? Would be the question. Interesting conversations today. Rick, looks like your wheels are turning.
I was just going to say that being a real estate agent takes a lot of self-discipline. And it took me a minute to figure that out. I've done construction most of my life, so I'm used to getting up early and doing stuff. I kind of slacked off on that a little bit early on in the real estate. And now I'm back to it because that's what works. Getting up early, and just like all those books say, all the books everyone talks about, getting up and handling business early in the morning and getting the important stuff done by noon is, I cannot say enough good about that. That is so true. And one other thing on a side note, for Adina, I don't know if she's on here or not, but, for me, when bad things happen, it's almost like you might have heard of the statement, fake it till you make it, and keep a good attitude anyways, because it is true. Just like also right back to Gary Keller, what you focus on expands. And if you can just try to focus on the good, and people ask you what's wrong and you say fine, that's not a lie. That's what that's where you want to be. That's what you're trying to be, and it really helps to bring you there. I mean, believe me, I know I've gone down some roads that will make your hair stand on end. One of these days I could tell you some stories, but it really works to have a positive attitude no matter what's going on, and it will help everything in your life. And wish the best for you.
Well, thank you, Rick. I just want to add something. My thing, as I said, it's so much deeper than that. And the problem is it is affecting real estate. Is it affecting everything? So I think I should just take a break. So I can't act anymore that I'm positive. So it is not an easy thing. So
Well,
I don't have that, what I'm saying is my headspace is not on the right things. Everything is affected.
Yes,
Well,
only you can decide that, and you might need a break. But I'm saying that the positive attitude goes as deep as anything else. If you can make that happen, you might be okay. But only you can decide that.
Yeah, I am a really positive person and I have positive attitude, but I get to the point when I am stuck. So
I'm sorry I missed the first little bit, and I'm sorry I missed that, Adina. But yeah, you're absolutely right, and I think that you can probably meet people where they're at in their pain too, and that may, I'm dealing with some people who are going through divorce right now, and they're heartbroken. Sounds like yours is probably deeper and heavier and harder than a divorce, but people need what you're going through right now. They need someone who can understand them too. So you could use that in. Not that we want to take advantage of somebody hurting to sell their house, but it does happen. And my prayers are with you. And if we can do anything to help you and keep you encouraged and encourage you to come back and keep the fight. You seem like a fighter anyway, so in all the positive ways. So we're here for you too.
thank you, Luke. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Luke. Julia?
I was just gonna throw in some like sympathy towards how you might be feeling, because it took me a long time to figure out that I have to learn how to take care of myself. Like, I know it sounds really obvious, but especially when you're having to do all this work, self-started work, having all of this discipline. I think a huge part of that discipline is learning how to take care of yourself, which is something I never was exposed to, for instance, growing up. Like, I never saw that in my parents. They had 9-to-5 jobs or whatever, so they probably didn't have a choice. So like the past 2 years, because I'm recovering from burnout, pretty severe burnout, I had to like really concentrate on how does this like real estate thing serve me in the purpose of self-care as well. So I'm wondering if you could, I don't know, see it that way, where like, because you work for yourself, then this is also an opportunity to learn how to take care of yourself. And that could be something that is a growth opportunity nonetheless, aside from, doing all the stuff that we're supposed to do and call people this and that. And so, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, that's been really helpful, because I think I have to switch my mindset. So I have to just have that switch and just say, like, this is the reason actually I'm doing real estate, because I want to be independent and I want to be happy and free. So that was a good point, Julia. Thank you.
Some more?
Self-care is hard. Like, I'm not even gonna say and be like, just take care of yourself. It's actually really hard, turns out.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I love that you shared that, Julia, because it's often, and I'll get to you in just a moment, more oftentimes, and I think moms in particular can really relate to this. We are the last person on the list. So in general, whether you're a mom, a dad, or anybody else, right, we're always taking care of other people and the problems and getting this done. And the last person on the list to get taken care of is ourselves. And so, people that calendar to go to the gym every day and go every day and take care of themselves, those are the things that help them do that. And for the people that love to do that, oh man, I give them so much credit. I wish I was one of those. But self-care, whatever it is, even if it's just an hour a week to curl up with a book and a cup of hot chocolate, it does not matter. It's giving time to yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't help others. And that's why, guys, I say this is not a 24/7 job. Certain time of the night, you need to set and the phone gets shut off. Business is done. 1 day a week at least, if not 2. Do not work. You guys, this is not a 24/7 business. And those of you that make it that, when you go through a rough time, it will be even rougher. Set your boundaries and take care of yourself, please. Amor, what would you like to add?
I'm just trying to look back on things that I've been through in my heart while I'm trying to push through goals at the same time. And while I understand and empathize that rough situations are hard, I can only speak looking back on myself. I kind of regret that I didn't pick myself up and push and persevere through and have a support group. And I don't know what you're going through, Adina, but I know that life's always going to happen to us. And it's just having to start over every constant time that something happens. I mean, just to get a little bit more personal, to give you a visual, it was in the middle of a custody battle and a divorce where I felt like my life was over. Everything was falling apart around me, but I still had to continue on for the kids, and I had my reasons. And had I had my support and my mindset and the strength to be able to push through, you know, so I hope that, I don't know what you're going through, but I hope that you have at some point the strength to be able to just fight for yourself.
Very well said.
Jodi, I
Yes.
wanted to add something to your point about, you know, setting those boundaries and taking the appropriate time off. One of the advantages as well, being a real estate agent, is flexibility too. You know, obviously you're going to have stuff come up where you have an opportunity to go to a listing presentation on a Saturday and it's your normal day off. Then you just adapt and say, well, I don't have anything Tuesday. Maybe I'll switch my day off to that day so I can take care of this because this is more important now. And you can juggle that with things, just life. Life happens, you know, big things happen, small things happen. And so when they do happen, you can adjust because that is an advantage of being in real estate is the flexibility that it gives you.
It is. I love that you added that, Lance. It's definitely a huge advantage. I know I'm soon taking 10 days off, and I've been working about 2 weeks straight, late into the night and 14 days a week, but that's intentional and purposeful. I don't normally do that because I'm going to be gone for 10 days and I needed to make sure that certain things were done before I was gone so that everybody has everything they need. And that's okay. But that should be the exception, not the rule, right? If we're doing that every day, we'll definitely get burnt out. I love that you added that, Lance. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about some of these wins that I see popping up in here. And Adina, yes, I agree with Michelle. I appreciate, and this gives you a place to be a little bit vulnerable. And I appreciate that this was brought up today because it sounds like there was more than one person that needed to hear some of the things that we've been talking about. And sometimes to be successful in real estate, it's all about, you know, talking about some of the things that are off the grid, kind of, if you will, maybe. And those are the things that can be encouraging and keep us going, because I don't know if there's anyone else on this call that's going through some things, but whether we are or we aren't, we all do somewhere at some point. And so these are the kinds of things that we can pull from and we can help each other. And I have to say, I love the support and the camaraderie that I am hearing on this call today. That just makes my heart very happy. So thank you guys for being showing the culture. You guys are displaying the culture that Keller Williams is about. And I think that's amazing. I just wanted to say that. So let's talk a little bit, excuse me. Cisco appreciates your culture too. Let's talk a little bit about I saw a couple wins put in here. Amor scheduling a final walkthrough. Yay, getting ready to close. And so congratulations on that. And Michelle, she disappeared for a moment, but your win is okay, possibly reaching out to and connecting with your SOI, making them aware of what you do. That is awesome. So I take it that went well this week.
I mean, yeah, it still feels like bugging though. I can't get out of my head. I can't stop hating the feeling that I get, but I know I'll get over it. I'll just get used to it.
Can I share a secret with you?
Yeah, please.
Every time you call it bugging, you're going to feel like you're bugging. And if you don't take that word out of your vocabulary, you'll never change how you feel about it.
You're probably right.
So this week my win was reaching out to my SOI. It doesn't matter what that reach out felt like. It doesn't matter how they felt about it. The win is that you did it. Right? Did anyone make you feel like you were bugging them?
Are you asking me if
Yeah.
No, I guess not. No.
Who,
Not to my face.
Who's bugged by being called and asked how they're doing?
You're
And
right.
if that bugs them, they got their own problems. Okay. So, can I have your commitment, Michelle, to take that word out of your vocabulary?
Yes, I'll take it out.
Okay.
I'll try.
Adina wants you to put $1 in a jar every time you say it.
Deal.
And then next time I'm at the coast, drinks are on you, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Luke has a really good one for exactly that. His mantra is, I am what my friends and family are looking for. And I actually have it on a Post-it in front of my computer for every time I have to call somebody that I'm afraid I'm going to be bugging them. I read that before I make the phone call.
I love that. I love that. That's an excellent one, Luke. I had an agent once say,
Good one.
huh? Yeah. I had an agent once say, my people need help and I need to help them. So it's all about just change. Remember, limiting beliefs, positive thoughts, to Rick's point earlier, positive attitude. It sounds cliche, but it literally goes so far for helping us. And some of you may have heard me talk about a friend of mine who, oh gosh, it's been 20 years ago. Well, yeah, 21 years ago, was diagnosed with lymphoma and given a 5% chance of survival. And at the time, his youngest child was 8 years old. And he was determined to live for his children. He had 3 boys. And he went through everything he had to go through. And he's still here 21 years later, doing just fine. And the power of a positive attitude, he could have succumbed to the diagnosis and he likely would have died. So there is a lot of proof out there that, is it going to solve everything? Is it going to make everything, rainbows and unicorns and roses immediately? No. And it will help give you strength and power to get through what you're going through. And then be able to come out on the other side and go, oh, maybe that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Right. Okay, Rick, 3 appointments in the last week, 1 signed agreement, 1 contract written. Woohoo! That's a big win. You guys are doing so great. And look at all these wins that are happening in our shift. Right? So it happens. Things happen, you just have to go after it. So let's see what some of the struggles were that you guys put over here. We have a few minutes left. If we haven't already addressed them. Edina, struggling to getting rejected by people when you go door knocking. So for open houses. You know what, guys? Rejection's part of this. So just remember this. A lot of you know what this stands for. Some of you, this may be the first time you're hearing it. What does no, N-O, stand for?
Not right now, for me at least.
Yes, and specifically N-O stands for what?
Next opportunity, right?
Next opportunity.
Yeah.
So this is a numbers game, guys. You're going to have to talk to a lot of people before you get to the one who needs your help. So if somebody says no, be grateful they're not wasting your time and you can move on and get to that one that needs your help that much faster. So think about it like that. If you're door knocking on a complete stranger's house and to invite them to an open house or whatever other reason you're doing it for, they're not rejecting you. They don't even know you. They're just rejecting the invitation. So just Shake it off, go to the next one. It's not personal. They don't even know you. Okay. So keep that
Jodi.
in mind. Remember, this goes to limiting thinking. Positive thoughts.
Yeah, I just want to add to it. So what happened to me, I had 2 open houses this weekend. And so what's keep happening, I was door knocking all the neighbors. And right away when I said like, hi, how are you? I want to invite you for this open house. Oh, I already seen the house. I said, okay, do you own your home? You know, I started to talk to them and then they're like, no, I don't need, I know what's my home worth, you know, like right away, like shuts me down. You know, I'm like, okay. So yeah, so that's my experience. They were like, oh, I know what's my, you know, I don't need a realtor, you know, I don't, you know, I'm not gonna sell ever. So
And that's okay. That's okay. Remember, that's just thank them for doing you the favor of not wasting your time, because they're not going to do anything with you. It's just like when you go to an open house and you have them sign in and they say, or you ask them if they're working with an agent and they say yes, and they probably aren't. It's just because, think about yourself. And I can personally attest to, and many of you have heard me say this before. If I go into a furniture store or a car lot, thankfully we only have to do that once every so many years, right? Ugh. Go into a furniture store. I hate going into furniture stores because they're worse than car salesmen. They swoop on you and then they follow you around like a puppy dog and at your feet and don't leave you alone. That drives me up a wall. Can you tell? So I will be polite and I'll let them approach me and I'll shake their hand and give them my name. And then I ask for their card and I say, you know what? I'm just looking, but if I see anything or have any questions, I'll make sure I find you. And then I leave. I go look for stuff. And if I have a question, I will go find that person because they took the time to come up to me. Same thing, guys. A lot of times people that come into an open house, they don't have an agent, but they're telling you they do because they don't want to be bugged. They think you're going to follow them around. They don't realize we don't follow them around in open houses. Okay, so it's a knee-jerk reaction for a lot of people to react that way. And just remember, it's not personal, okay? So just be grateful they didn't waste your time instead of being defeated by the fact that they said no. Okay. And then I see a couple struggles in here with calendar time management. That seems to be a running theme all the time. What were, be a little more specific about what the struggle was. What about it was the struggle?
Pretty much the whole thing at the moment, making my calendar and sticking to it. So everything, just a lot going on, I guess. I'm mostly by myself, doing it by myself lately with my kids and, you know, birthdays. And like I just talked about as we started and just Christmas, just trying to keep everything together and exciting for the kids for the holidays and getting dinner ready, just everything, doing it on my own lately. So it's a struggle.
Yeah. And
Sure.
we all have times where we have more on our plate than at other times, and it can be a struggle. There's a couple of things that I'll share in regard to that. A lot of you have heard me talk about the 4 Ds, right? So when you have a time in your life where you're really overwhelmed with what's going on, I'm not big on to-do lists. I like to actually write them down. It's kind of therapeutic. It gets it out of my head, then I don't forget anything. But then what I've learned to do, and since I started doing this, I've been so much more productive. Some of you know that for a long time, I was keeping a paper calendar where I'd write my list stuff in the times, and then I kept my appointments on my Google Calendar. Well, in October, I went through the entire month and never opened my paper calendar. Therefore, I never accidentally double booked something or forgot something because it was in one and not the other. I didn't think I'd be able to pull away from it, and I did. And I had a very productive, successful month with a lot less chaos in my head. So no paper. What I did because I had a lot of, you guys know, we've been talking about all the things we're doing behind the scenes with the new training program that we're developing and all kinds of things. This has been a lot of work, okay? Which we love doing, by the way, don't misunderstand. However, there were pieces of it that we didn't even realize till we got in. This had to be done. Oh man, that means this has to be revised. Oh, and this has to be, it was huge. Okay, so then what I did was I put everything on a list that had to be done, including other things, right? Daily things and personal things and whatever. I took that list and I put them in the Google Tasks. Does everybody know how to use your Google Tasks? That is life-saving. I put them in the Google Tasks and I put a date they needed to be done by. I didn't just leave the list. So then when I look at my calendar every day, it says everything I have to do on that day, aside from what my appointments are. So my calendar's not muddied and I don't have paper anywhere. If I could, I can't make the camera point down this far, but there's no paper down here. This is the only thing I have besides my water bottle. And it's amazing. So, Michelle, and anyone else this applies to, take a few minutes and absolutely everything that you have to do for the next week, 2 weeks, month, whatever it is, write it down. Write it on a piece of paper. Then put it in your Google Calendar. And here's how you prioritize it without having to rewrite it and check this and do that. One by one, put it in your Google task list and put the date it needs to be done by. And you can even add a specific time, which will then put it into your actual calendar. That's freeing. But when you do that, do the 4D exercise, which is do it, delegate it, delay it, or dump it. Because chances are a good portion of your list you can dump, delegate, or delay.
I need to learn to delegate. I don't do that because I feel like it takes too much time to do it. So I just do it myself. I want to do it all myself. So I have to get past that.
But think about this. How many activities, because I've felt that, I understand that. How many activities do you not delegate because of the time it takes to teach someone? But if you take that time once, maybe reminder a couple times, moving forward, they get to take that on.
Yeah, you're right. It would be well worth it. I mean, and it's mostly, I have a 15 and a 12-year-old now. And so you delegate it and then you get frustrated because they don't continue it and you just do it. But yeah, you're right. That's my own personal issue. I've got to get past that. And
does your son want to keep playing football?
Yes.
Yeah, if you want to keep playing football, buddy, this is what you got to do.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
I only know that because of the post you do, right? So that's why that came to mind. I mean, you do what you want to do, but
oh no, you're right. It would kill him to take away his sports. I mean, he's a true athlete. So yeah, you're right.
That goes back to accountability. I got a tickle. Sorry. That goes back to that accountability and consequences, right? For
Yes.
you guys.
You're right. Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else have anything they want to add to what we've been talking about?
I just want to tell you again, like, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't want to bring anybody down. I didn't feel like I just kind of like put a bad start of your Monday morning. So thank you. And I appreciate all of your advices and you guys are great, but like, please, like, I will be fine. I just have to get through this. And I want everybody to have a positive Monday. And
well, I think our conversation turned it into a positive Monday.
oh yes, it's true. But I just feel a little bit responsible for putting down everybody.
Nope.
If we're in this for the right reason, we're in this to help people. And if this
That's right.
is talking you through this, then that's what it is.
That's right.
Our day will come too.
That's right. It might be you today, Adina, but it'll be someone else another day, and they can take it. They can remember this conversation, right? Any other struggles out there? Well, hello, Miss Kate. How are you? Hi, everybody. If you don't know, this is Kate Graham. She is our broker manager of the Paso Robles office, and I just adore her.
Ditto. I am blown away with how lucky I perceive that you all are to be in Jodi's coaching program. Truly. Hey, I just wanted to say hi real quick and to let Rick know I have to step out of the office for a minute. I'll be back. Okay.
Oh, I'm glad you did say hi. Don't be a stranger.
Well, thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. I just love her.
She just looks like she sold some houses in her time.
Yep, she has. All righty. So those of you that are at the Central Coast, did you get the announcement that Brittany will actually be there on Wednesday? I will be at the Opus Open House for a portion of it on Thursday. I can't stay this time. I have to keep trucking up north. My son's final wedding rah-rah is this weekend or that weekend. The following weekend. No, wait a minute. Let me back up. I've got so much going on in the next 2 weeks. I forgot what's happening. I will be over there this Thursday or something. Oh, the new agent meet the staff leadership coming back Friday. The following week, I'll be over there for the Opus open house, and that's where I have to keep on going because I have to get up north for the final reception of my son's wedding. But I tell you what, they have a small family-only wedding. But then instead of having one big reception where 100 people have to travel each way, they have 2 smaller ones where only family travels. But boy, that puts a lot on the family. So it feels like this has been the never-ending wedding, but it's soon to be over. About the time of their first anniversary. Not really. All right. Any other last thoughts?
By the way, Jodi, I love your cats.
Oh, thank you.
They're so adorable.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like your cat post.
All right, everybody. Oh,
I do have a question.
okay.
And I think it's more because of the calendar and how much I have a distraction and let myself do that. I've flirted with the idea of renting a room at the office just to make it feel like, and I don't know how you feel about that if we're just starting out and not closed more than one, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's completely up to you. You'd have to talk to, I believe, either Bobby or Krista about that because I don't know what's available where. It's completely up to you and what you need to do to protect your time. Now, that being said, don't think that having space at the office is the magic pill, right? Because there's still distractions at the office. So if you're going to spend money on an office or a cubicle, you're going to want to have a bunker around that, like a stop sign or a shut door. You know, I'm in my 20%. Come back after whatever time. So you might just be trading one set of interruptions for another. So whichever you're doing, build your bunker where you're at.
That makes sense. Thank you.
And just something, if there's anyone else on here, I don't know if there's anyone else on here with small children, but what you might do more, because you homeschool your kids, right?
Yes.
So what you might do is you might get a fun timer, probably already have one for your kids and turn it on. Maybe it's only half-hour increments under your circumstances or whatever, but turn it on, let them know you're turning it on and say, okay, until this timer goes off, you cannot talk to mommy because she's going to be making phone calls. When the timer goes off, I'm going to check and see if you guys need anything, and then we're going to reset the timer. And then maybe give them some kind of a reward at the end of the day, every day that they don't interrupt you. It doesn't have to be big. It can be something super, super simple. Maybe they get to help you make dinner. For some kids, they love that. You know, maybe you bake cookies with them or take them to the park or something simple. But you can build that bunker at home too.
Thank you. They do like tech time, so that could be their incentive, their tablets or something.
That would be a great incentive. All right, guys. Well, great conversation today. Thank you to all those that participated and did some shares and helped everyone. I think this was a really good conversation. Looking forward to future masterminds, and we'll see you in various things throughout the week. Bye-bye.